Welcome back to another Artist Spotlight, and I'm Joe Foy, president of Harmony, and today I'm joined by Mark Gatman, who is in the band Yukon. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing good, Joe. How about you?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. So, talk a little bit about you first. So, what do you play in Yukon? I vaguely remember.
Starting out as the lead harmonica player.
That's right.
And then after a couple of years, they let me move up to the drums. So I play the drums. I sing a good amount of the songs.
Do you play bass ever?
I do. Yeah, we switched up a little bit, although we haven't done that much lately. But yeah, I flirt with a little bass occasionally. Just keep things fresh.
Yeah, and you guys are playing stuff like, so I know you play Rush. Rush is one of your favorite bands, right?
Yeah, definitely one of my top bands
ones
of all time. Yeah, big influence.
And somehow you hit those notes.
Yeah, that's kind of by proxy why I end up singing a lot of stuff. It's like, oh yeah, let's do this, let's do this Shania Twain song, and I'm the one that can screech the highest. So.
That's right. And for those who want to know, it's "Man, I Feel Like a Woman."
Yes.
If you want to know which song it is.
Yeah, it's a fan favorite. I think it's a spectacle more than anything, just to see a person like me sing that song.
No, I love it. How long have you been playing the drums?
I've been playing. So I started playing drums in the school music program in good old Lafargeville Central. So that was 5th grade when I started in that. So 1998. I'm terrible at math. So like, I don't know, 40, 50 or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. But a while. So I think after I'd been in the band, playing in the band program for a year, my family got me a drum set.
Gotcha.
So the Christmas of 6th grade, I got the drum set. So I've been playing drum kit, basically, I'd say probably 20 years, give or take.
Gotcha, yeah. And you went to Crane, is that right?
I did not go to Crane.
Why did I think that?
Well, it's one of the places I planned to audition. It's another SUNY school.
I just was in your head way back then. I gotcha.
I went to Fredonia.
Fredonia.
Yep.
It's usually one of the two.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing. Fredonia was my first choice. I happened to audition there first, and I got word back before my audition was set at Crane, so I just rang up Crane and said, I won't be doing the thing there. So nothing against Crane,
No. Yeah, that's cool though. Yeah. So talk a little bit about the band again. You got how many members in it?
4 members plus our 5th member. We always call him Cheech, our sound guy. But there's 4 guys in the band. So 2 guitars, bass, and then myself on the drums.
Gotcha. And so bass is Andrew Willis.
Yes.
You got Brian.
Mm-hmm. Brian Byer on the guitar.
Brian Byer, and then the other guitarist is
Andy Wett.
Andy. Yep.
Yep.
And you got a sound guy, which is cool.
Yes, so we literally refer to our sound guy, we call him Cheech. That's most everyone calls him that.
Yeah.
He's in so many ways kind of our 5th member because he's been with us since the beginning, so he really makes us sound good out front. He really knows when to, put some delay on the vocal or whatever.
It makes a big difference to have somebody out front because if you just set it and you go run with it. Especially like you guys, you trade vocals, things like that. Sometimes Andrew Willis will be playing some singing, sometimes Brian will be singing, right?
Yep, technically all 4 of us sing.
All 4 of you sing, you do harmonies, you're doing all that stuff, and it's like you gotta be able to mix those vocals, otherwise it doesn't sound right.
Yes, and all the songs, we're going through different genres, about that, you're trying to cover all this ground, so what you need out of the front end is very different for Lady Gaga as opposed to, Rush or whatever else you want to use for an example. So having that person who knows how to get the best out of the situation is real key.
For sure. As a cover band, what kind of goes into your
I'm saying, I just cracked up because you sat back down and right back in. It's so good.
Nobody knows that I sat back down. I'm going to be splicing it. What are you doing?
Oh, I blew it. I blew the 4th wall. I just went through it. All right, we'll start over.
That's right. No. So as a cover band, how do you guys decide what songs you're all going to do? Is there somebody's like, I want to do this song, or is it you all have to agree on it?
We try to be, all in agreement with things. So, we'll discuss it, and if one guy's really not feeling it, then, I'm not going to force the issue.
Yeah.
You don't want to do something that everybody's not behind, because then you have that one member who doesn't really want to do it, so maybe they're not playing their best, you know. So
Yeah.
we usually have a discussion about it, and we have a group message that we communicate through. We have a song list of songs we would like to learn that's probably 1,000 songs long by now. And it's just so tough for us specifically because we live far apart. Andrew and I live close together. He lives in Clayton, I live in Lafargeville. But Brian's out in Montague, out in the woods.
Yeah.
Barely has electricity. Andy lives in Constableville, which I had never even heard of till I met him. So, you know, getting us all together in one room to really work on stuff, you know, learn new songs can be a challenge. So that kind of plays into, you know, the fact that we just haven't added as many as we'd like to.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm thinking about something that somebody told me one time about your band, because it was a guy who booked bands at his place, and you know, we were going through like the bands and what he thought of them, and he's like, Doc Yukon, well, they put a lot of effort into what they do. They try really hard, and it's like, I didn't want to say try really hard because that sounds like you failed. You try. You try.
They really tried.
Yeah.
You know, they get an A for effort.
Exactly. But he meant it like it was like a lot of the bands. I mean, I've been in them, and sometimes I feel that way where it's just kind of like you show up and you play it and whatever. But like there is some effort that's put in. I mean, it's partly I can tell because you got a sound guy, you know, so you wanted to kind of get that professional sound. But you're all also just phenomenal musicians, you know.
Thanks.
No, you really are. If you haven't seen these guys, they're really great. I haven't gotten a chance to see in a long time, but
It's been a while.
yeah. And where are you guys playing this summer?
So this summer's a little different for us. I think part of the reason we're doing so many things that aren't necessarily public, so we're doing a lot of parties and weddings and things like that.
Yeah.
Once the pandemic hit, obviously everybody had to find a way to adapt, you know, once the lockdowns eased up and everything. So we just started doing more of the private parties around that time because, you know, the bar gigs were a little more touch and go. So subsequently, it seems like this year, that's just ramped up even more, be it, you know, more weddings, you know, there's just kind of getting caught up from some of that stuff, and just the private parties, graduation parties, things like that. But we do have things like, you know, Pirates Weekend in Alex Bay. We're going to be playing for that in August. In July, we're going to be doing French Fest in Cape Vincent. So some of the outdoor things.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to be playing outdoors in Carthage, I forget, at some point in the summer. So we've got stuff like that. We do have some bar gigs here and there throughout the summer, but it'll be busy, just kind of in a less public way for us, I guess, as opposed to how it's been before.
Do you like those private events?
Yeah. You know, it's a different type of thing. They're not always a crazy rowdy gig. Sometimes it's more of a listening crowd, you know, and you have to adapt to that, where you're not, you know, so focused on just keeping the dance beat going to keep the dance floor packed. So it's fun to do something like that. Sometimes in private parties, you know, it's a bigger space, so we actually have like staging we can bring and set up. If it's a, you know, big enough type of thing. So sometimes we'll bring, you know, the big stage and lights and all that stuff. And
nice.
You can't necessarily do that in a lot of the bars and clubs around here. There's just not space. So
you don't have to bring a crowd though.
Yes. Yeah. You know,
that's kind of nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean you do bring a crowd wherever you go, anyways. Usually, I feel like.
I mean, we usually have good nights, but we're not immune from having those nights. You know, you're just playing and there's like 5 people at the bar, and sometimes they'll turn around and look at you, and then, you know.
Right. But there's a tornado going on, but you're still playing the gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. You know, we both come from bands that kind of do that, and I have found that with private parties, they're listening, but it's still fun. Mm-hmm. And they often tend to, you don't know that they're enjoying it, but they are enjoying it. Right,
yeah. And there's been multiple times where you're playing and, you know, hey, I'm a musician. I got an ego. I like to get people to clap and scream and yell and dance. But there's been, you know, some of those gigs where you're playing, like, man, these people aren't even into it. It's like, we just wasting our time here or whatever. But then, you know, at the end of the night, people come up and say, oh, man, I really loved, you know, this song and that, and they talk about specific things in songs.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how you know they're really listening, or they're a music aficionado or a musician themselves somehow. So it's really cool to have that sort of interaction with people.
Yeah.
Where you can tell they're, you know, it's a deep listening thing.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just nice to get that feedback too.
Yeah, and you know, the people who have had a few drinks and that's fun because they're having a good time.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing.
Their feedback is quite a bit different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's a little more concise. You know, usually just like, oh god, right, and they spit on you. It's cool. You know. But you know, there is an energy to a good old fashioned bar gig. I mean, yeah, we've had a lot of fun nights like that when it's just packed to the rafters, everyone's having a good time. You know, those are definitely fun moments for sure.
For sure. So Dan Menepes, you know him.
Oh yeah, I love Dan.
Yeah, so he's on our board, and he asked me to ask you something. He wanted you to talk a little bit about Cake Barge.
Yes.
What is that?
So not only am I a music lover, but I am a food lover. You know. So, and I come from a family that likes to cook and that likes to eat and everything. So Dan and I used to work together many moons ago. We worked in the car business together. So a lot of time spent with each other eating lunches and such.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Knowing
Dan.
Dan.
Oh yeah, for sure. And, you know, so occasionally, you know, my mother, God bless her, she'd make something that's, you know, a favorite of mine, make one of her cakes that I really like. And that woman just doesn't know how to cut you a small piece. You can ask her for a small piece. You're still going to get, you know, something significant. So I believe the Cake Barge really originated from one day I had a nice hunk of cake. And I mean, it was in one of those, like, the Chinese takeout that's probably about like that.
Yep.
And it was in there. It filled it up. It was
the whole thing.
It was heavy, you know, real dense. And I finished it. Don't worry, I finished it. So, and, you know, Dan, upon me opening that lid, just exclaimed, he's like, my God, is that just for you? And I'm like, yeah, it's my dessert. He's like, that's the size of a barge. It's a cake barge. And then it just, you know, it grew legs from there.
That's great.
And of course, more cake barges came and went for, you know, over the years. So it just, you know, it stuck.
Yeah. Is cake one of your favorite foods?
Oh, I mean, I do like a nice cake.
Yeah.
As long as it's moist, you know. I don't know if anybody likes a dry cake.
Some people just don't like the word moist, so we might have to edit that part out.
Oh, that's true. That's true. We might have to bleep that.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a fan of cake.
Cake. Nice.
You know, if you give me a choice between cake and pie, yeah, I'm probably gonna go with that cake.
Really? You know, I'm not a big cake fan.
Not a big cake fan. Are you a pie guy?
You know, when I was younger, I wasn't, but then I got into it. I like cheesecake, but I consider that a pie, in my opinion.
Yeah, cheesecake is a strange beast, but it is delicious.
Yeah.
Are you like a traditional, just to keep it traditional, or do you go crazy with like turtle cheesecake?
I like my mom's cheesecake, because it's, it's like lighter, what is it? It's not like this heavy, like cut into it kind of thing. It's a very kind of like light, more creamy, I guess, cheesecake.
Oh. Okay, so it's not as much like a hunk of concrete as it is.
With a nice graham cracker crust.
Graham cracker, shouldn't every crust be graham cracker crust?
I don't really know how it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2022,
What about
we have the technology.
Pumpkin pie, I never see that in a graham cracker crust.
Yeah, and why not? Because that would really make pumpkin pie more tolerable for me.
Right, you don't like pumpkin pie.
I mean, I eat it.
You'll eat it.
Again, I'll eat it. But, like, you know, you get to the end crust, and I was like, that's going to go in the trash. You know?
Yeah, so that's the problem. That's the only problem with pecan pie for me.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, I do like my mom.
Oh, wait, did I just say pecan pie? I was thinking pecan pie. I meant to say pumpkin pie.
Oh.
I don't know why I was thinking pecan pie, but you like a pecan pie.
I do. You got me excited, so it worked.
Well, we actually have a pecan pie. No, we don't.
Sponsor for today's show, Marie Callender's Pecan Pies.
Exactly. So anyways, we were talking about music, I think, before that, right?
Yeah, we just spent probably 5 minutes talking about cake and pie. So that's good. Dan really knows how to...
Well, he called me before this, and he said, if you're talking to Mark today, to mention Cake Barge. And I'm like,
I like that you wrote it down, too. Yeah.
Well, I didn't when he said it, and then I went back, and I texted him, and I'm like, what did you say again? Because I remember cake, but I didn't... Like, it started with a B. So then I wrote it down, and then I have it on a piece of paper right here so that I could remember it. And I did. But anyways, back to music. Is there anything that, I mean, like, you've been in a couple bands before, Doc Yukon, but you've been in Doc Yukon for how many years?
We have 5 years now. We're in our 5th year.
And you and the five of you, right? 4 of you.
Yeah.
4 of you with this, but you founded it. The 4 of you did.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. There hasn't been any changes or anything.
That's really cool.
It's definitely, it's not always easy to keep things going with the same group of people for whatever reason, life and, it's still, even though you're playing covers, you're part of a creative, team.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to creativity and people's ideas and stuff like that, it can get tough sometimes. So, but thankfully we all get along really great. We're all pretty laid back guys. So I think that's been part of the, the longevity.
I'm sure it takes a lot of, basically everybody in the group has to have a little bit of like empathy for the other person or an understanding of other people's opinions and,
Yes.
So it's tough, but it's fun when you can do it.
Yes, because, at the end of the day, we all know how lucky we are to have found each other because it's a chemistry thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that plays in any sort of ensemble, and I'm not even just going to limit it to just, playing rock and country or whatever, but if you're in a good ensemble, there's just no other feeling like it when you just play something and everybody is locked in, firing on all cylinders, things are tight. That part of it, that's the addictive part for me of playing music live.
Yeah.
It's just that good feeling you get when everything's working well.
And sometimes it's like you play the same song, but there's one night where that song sounded fantastic.
Yes. But it's a double-edged sword though, because you have that night, right? And then you remember how good it was and you hold it to that level.
That's standard, yeah.
And then maybe the next time you play it, it's not there. You're like, what do we do differently, But that's how it goes.
Do you have one of those songs that sits in your head right now?
Boy, there's so many, and they all meld together. Something like, I don't know, for me, the tougher songs can be the ones that are not bombastic. I'm a bombastic drummer. To sing, I'm belting stuff out usually. That's kind of my wheelhouse. So for me, where things can kind of go sideways are tunes that are lighter, like we do Hall & Oates. I can't go for that. Great tune, we kind of make it our own a little bit in terms of the feel of it, specifically between Andrew and I. The rhythm section really kind of dictates.
It's the best section, the most important.
Oh, absolutely. Without the rhythm section, there's no party.
Exactly.
If you want to dance and the rhythm section ain't there, well,
sorry.
Good luck. But yeah, so that song, I recall, one night we played that. Oh God, Willis and I were just right connected at that hip. There was just I don't know how to
like every note, every bass drum beat fit with the bass.
Yeah, it was just locked in tight, and that's one that I sang. So I was actually kind of happy with how I sang it that night.
Yeah, that's
a huge point of frustration too. Anybody that sings can attest. When you're a vocalist, day to day things change.
Hit or miss.
It's sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. That's the way you want it to be. So
I probably might just keep these parts in there so they know that I have to cut the video because this is on my phone.
That's part of the fun, when you have a limitation and you have to work within it, forces you to be creative.
That's kind of what I like. That's actually what I liked about COVID. I didn't like COVID. I need to cut this. That is what I liked about kind of the isolation or something like that, because you had to rethink things, and that was something that I felt like you did a lot of too. Is how can you were creating your own videos of yourself playing every instrument.
Yeah, trying to do some of that. That was really just at a certain point out of necessity. It started out really cool because I was just getting paid to stay home. At the time I worked for Verizon, and I somehow got lucky. I didn't get redeployed into answering customer service calls or anything. I was just in this limbo for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
So it's real cool to just be a schlep, play video games all day and stuff. But at a certain point, I'm like, I'm going crazy.
Yes.
And then without the outlet of playing music, that's therapy for so many of us musicians, really, in one way, shape, or form. So I just felt myself just going stir crazy. So that was the way I chose to just kind of pour myself into something. I was giving myself, a task, working on a video like that, I could easily occupy a whole day.
Yeah.
Easy between playing parts and then you do the video and then you got to sync it up and, all that stuff. So that really became it was valuable for me.
It's gonna take me a week probably though. But I can't spend like a whole day on one thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, if I get like.
No, I guess if you're like into it,
yeah,
you probably. But you're just like, I need to finish this.
Yeah, but then it's also like, I don't know, to my detriment, because I'll get to a certain point and then I'll get just, I'll just be like, all right, that's good enough. Like, I'm not trying to win a Grammy here. So, but then I go back and watch some of those videos. It's like, man, I wish I would have spent a little more time on it. But when you're working on stuff like that, ultimately you got to decide when to just kind of pull the plug on it, or you'll be there tweaking things forever. At least that's how I feel. No,
that's 100%. Like, I've recorded albums before, and I'm like, what are you gonna do, man?
Yeah.
You remixed it. You're like, it tells me how many times I've remixed it. And it's like 85, and I'm like, that's enough.
Well, at a certain point, it's like I don't even know what I'm hearing anymore. Like you don't trust your judgment. You get to a certain point.
Yeah. So, is there anything that I missed talking about that you want to mention with Doc Yukon or yourself? Definitely catch them at French Fest. That's what it's called, right? French Fest.
Yeah, French Festival in Cape Vincent. I believe this year they're going to be back, into the full swing of things. Like everything else, these past few years have been a little atypical. So that should be back and good. That's usually in the, I don't know, it's like July 9th or something like that.
That's a cool town. I love Cape Vincent.
Yeah, it's a beautiful town right on the St. Lawrence. Well, it's where the St. Lawrence meets Lake Ontario.
Yeah. A nice lighthouse.
A beautiful lighthouse on Tibbetts Point. And when French Festival happens, I mean, the town's population, I think, probably triples. There more. I mean, there's a ton of people there.
Yes.
We're playing, I guess it's technically the night before. It's the Friday evening. It's like a block party, block dance that they do. But, the weather's nice. Fingers crossed.
Yep.
There's, it's a real good time. People just dance in the street, bring their chairs. So I love playing things like that. Same goes for Pirates. That's usually a little bigger, a little more rowdy type of crowd.
I remember going to the Skiffs during Pirates Week, and it was there was no room. It was just like like, I don't know what I'm doing in here.
Oh yeah. No, and as much as I love to playing to a packed house like that, I don't want to be down in the middle of it. No. Yeah, we might be talking about the same year. One year I kind of peeked my head in there. I'm like, it ain't worth it.
Probably was.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, so catch Doc Yukon when you can. They're great. They're fabulous musicians. And thanks for being our artist spotlight for this month, whatever month this is.
Yeah, whatever month this.
Whenever you're watching this video, that's the month that you're the artist spotlight for.
Do you want to go through and do 12 different takes?
We could do, yeah.
For the month of
January. No, you only have to do like 6 takes, so we're good.
That's true. So do the month of May.
Just say each of the months, and I'll splice together, which makes no sense.
June, July, August.
3. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I wanted you to go all the way to December, but that's
okay. I was like,
no, I'm only.
Well, I got distracted too. These are very resonant instruments.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
What?
I can just hear them. You just hear like the strings and stuff resonating.
Screams at the guitars.
Oh! I'm just trying to find which one's resonating.
I see a mandolin and I just start screaming at it. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's a disorder I have.
Anyways, thank you so much for joining us.